Hey, welcome to another update on Archmage Rises, and with me, as always, is somebody whose names start with N.
Lots of N's around here.
Yeah, it's not Nick, it's Neil. Hey, Neil.
Hey, good day.
How's the weather in Hawaii?
Today's good. We had storms crazy last.
When I started up this software, Neil was like, "Oh wow, this is the 100th episode," and yeah, exactly. And so, who better to have on the 100th episode than Neil? That's what I was thinking.
Well, thanks, man.
So we're going to talk about something special for the 100th episode, something I've actually been working on in the background, kind of just keeping to myself, and I was like, wow, 100th update video. If somebody's watched all these videos and they've already watched the 99th one, they're going to be like, there better be something good for 100. I mean, that's how I would feel. So here it is. We're going to do something good for number 100. Are you ready, Neil? Are you ready?
Yes, we need the big news. Tell us the big news.
The big news. I'm going to give a real behind the scenes of what is going on. Like I said, this is stuff that's kind of been in the background. Before I get into that, I'll do a really quick current status of the game. So I've been away at 2 conferences since the last update. And Daniel's been working hard on putting in features, and some of the last things that we talked about and he worked on were in the dungeons, putting in water and the movement of water, the opening and closing of doors. So we now have doors, and we know if you're pushing against the water in order to open the door, or you're pushing the door open and the water's flowing that way, so it's actually easier. We've put in traps and the detection of traps, and giving you a choice as to what you can do to react to a trap, whether it's casting a spell or using an item or just using a dodge. Levers that open doors, drains, so you can lead water to a drain, and then that way the water won't be a problem anymore. Sources of water that fill in, so basically flooding. So it floods in an area, and then you open a door, then it'll flood that area, and so now you're like, oh crap, I'm gonna drown. And so we've been working on these 3D dungeons so that we could then make them way more interesting than the 2D dungeons, and we're finally at that stage of making the 3D dungeons interesting, the playability of it, having keys, having locks, having levers, just things that little mini missions within each level of the dungeon. We have multi-level dungeons, so now you can take stairs up and down the dungeons, and there's different logic for how the algorithms work with that. So nothing to show right now, because I want to focus the time talking about Defiance Games, the studio. Are you ready?
Okay.
So many people don't know that you're in the process of setting up a studio, right? Sort of?
Yeah. I've been in that process for a while.
How big is your team right now in your game?
We have 8 full-timers and an additional 5 that are going to be part of the team part-time.
And you come from the TV movie media space.
Right, that's my background, my day job.
Yeah. And your game is Turning Tides, and you are working in Unreal.
Yep, Unreal Engine. Been in there for about 3 years, trying to get that thing to full prototype mode, and now we're getting the word out.
And looking for funding.
Yep, get that funding going, and then we'll do our dev cycle. Woo.
Yeah, so that's just a really, really quick background on you, and why I thought you'd be a good person to talk to. So, back in April, for those that may not remember or weren't following this in April, I took a break from the game. And I needed to do that because I was getting sick and tired of working on it. It's been almost 5 years, and I was just getting really sick and tired of working on it. I was working on it by myself, and I needed a break. And so during that time, it wasn't just idle time playing Minecraft in VR, although I did do some of that. But it was a real time of soul searching. So imagine just going for long walks in the forest and just thinking where's my life going? That's probably a pretty good picture of what that month kind of looked like. So out of that, I had a number of realizations, which I made a post about and posted in that. But one of the things that really came through from that was that what am I really good at, and what am I not, or what do I really struggle with? And the thing I struggle with is working on the game by myself. That's the thing that I struggle the most with. Got a whole ton done when working with Nick. That's not a possibility anymore, but he's gainfully employed in another studio, but I was like, yeah, that really worked well. And when I look at my past, it's really about leading teams. Like, that's actually what I've done at every job for the last 20 years is I've always ended up leading some team, and that's gone well. I mean, there certainly have been mistakes and upsets and whatever along the way, but in general, that's gone well for me.
A lot of company experience, right?
Pardon?
Starting companies, so it's already there. You already have that experience. So.
Yes. So I was like, maybe I'm paddling the wrong way in this river or something. Like, maybe what I should be focused on is building a team and having the team work with me and finish Archmage Rises as opposed to trying to solo this thing. So that was a big kind of aha and something I had to talk with my wife about and stuff. And so the very first step of that was hiring someone, like one person. And I was looking to hire a grad so I could get some government money for that. The government money part never showed up, and then I didn't even hire a grad, so I totally failed. I hired a guy who's he's just about to go into 4th year, so he just finished 3 years on a comp sci, and he's going to school in the States, but he's a Canadian. He lives here on the same little island that I live on, and that was pretty miraculous that actually we found each other, because it's like so weird. He wouldn't expect there to be somebody hiring a game dev on the island, and I wouldn't expect there would be somebody that was interested in that job on this little island.
All the town, and I was like, oh yeah, game development, sure.
Yeah. So the thing about hiring Daniel was I was not just looking for like an hourly contractor, because especially hiring somebody like brand new, in fact he's not even done school, like hiring someone that new, I have to pour a lot of time and energy into training him into tools, technologies, processes, software development processes, QA processes, like a whole bunch of things. So I'm going to train all this stuff, and then what do I do? Like after 6 months, like, hey, thanks for your help, see ya, and then he goes off to somebody else. Like when I hired him, it was for the long term. Maybe he's watching this video and he's like, hey, great, I got a long-term job. He should already know that. So the hiring Daniel, I was like, okay, I'm going to hire Daniel, and I'm going to we're going to work together on finishing Archmage Rises, but we're going to work together on other titles too. So that was the big decision point, and I didn't make a big deal of that at the time, because frankly I have no credibility. I can't finish Archmage Rises. Why would anybody care that there's additional titles? But anyway, when it comes to
your belt, though, right? You got 2 other games you've released. So that's 30.
Actually, I have 3 titles in the hopper that I feel strongly enough that I want to work on them, kind of whatever it costs in order to do it and make it and whatever. So I think that there's 4 titles total for Defiance Games, as far as I envision it. So the first is Archmage Rises, then an action title that is set in the world of Archmage Rises. It's very, very different because I'm sick of turn-based and all that. So anyways, it's an action-based title. Then there's a 3rd title that probably has nothing to do with Archmage Rises, and then there's Archmage Rises 2. And there's a reason for that trajectory in terms of technologies. Archmage Rises has given me a ton of procedural tools and knowledge and stuff that I can apply to that action game that I think would be quite compelling. And then the game after that has a lot more simulator things to it, which then leads into Archmage Rises 2. I can like pull all these things together. So anyways, I'm a vision guy, I'm a big picture guy, I'm a leading the team guy, and so indulge me for a moment that's what I'm doing. I'm like thinking, okay, what does the next 5 years kind of look like? And if it's just me sitting in my basement working Archmage Rises, that's a pretty gloomy picture for everyone involved, for all the stakeholders watching this and for myself. I don't want that. So this time away in April helped me kind of get around that. So I've already built a studio, which you alluded to. I started a software company in 2004. I was all gung-ho. I was in my 20s. I was like, this is going to be great. And over the course of 12 years, I built a studio, and we have an office, and we eventually got to, in 2017, 15 people and $2 million in revenue. So I've already done the studio thing, and I don't need that like check mark on my resume anymore, if you know what I mean. Like I did it, and so I was like, that was cool. I did that. I'm interested in this game thing. I want to go do games. And then when I thought about starting a studio in games, like it seems like very natural. Like, well, I've already done the business software studio. I could do a game studio. But I would actually put it off because I knew what it took. I knew what it took in cashing out all of my retirement savings, remortgaging my house twice. In order to meet payroll, I had to drive to the bank after hours and cash advance my MasterCard to get the few more $1,000s that I could get into the bank account in order to make payroll go through that Friday. Chasing down invoices. Like, there's just... I know all aspects of starting a studio, and that's why I was like, you know what, I'm not really sure I want to do that.
Wait, you're saying it's easy? Wow.
Yeah, I'm saying it's easy. That's right. That's the big lesson to take away. So I just, I'm pretty happy with just having contractors that, if I run short of money, I say, well, sorry, that's that, and just not to have these big long-term commitments that I did like when I was starting a studio. But I went and started with Daniel, and now his salary is much smaller than the people I was hiring at my software company. And so that makes it more palatable anyway. So I'm going along with Daniel, and then I don't know why. I really have no idea what I did or said or didn't do or didn't say or whatever. But in the course of 1 week, beginning of June? In the course of 1 week, I was actually within 2 days, 2 people emailed me that are fans of the game, been watching these videos, following the game and everything, following it for years. They both emailed me and said, it seems like you're hiring, like you're building a studio, and I want in on that. I want to come and work on Archmage. I want to work with you. I want to like make this thing go. And I was like, okay, I didn't say that I was hiring or anything, but both of these people sent me these really long, impassioned emails, and I was like, maybe this is a sign.
Will they work for free?
No, they're not working for free. Nobody wants to work for free. So I said, hey, I'm real happy with your interest. These are my really hard requirements. You have to come and live on the island and work here. Like right there and right there are where I have desks, and you need to work here in the studio. And if you can't relocate and you can't, like, I totally get that. It's not an easy thing I'm asking you to do. I live in a tiny town. We don't have a stoplight, never mind a McDonald's or a Walmart or anything. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, I have no money. I've like spent all my money. I've already remortgaged my house and all those things. I don't have any money, so I can only pay you a pittance. Basically minimum wage, because the government requires that that's what I pay. If there wasn't a minimum wage law, then it would be even lower than what I offered them. But anyways, I'm legally obligated to offer this. And so I said, hey, like, I have not given you a good offer. I totally understand that, but these are the parameters. And they both came back and said yes, they will move here and work for minimum wage to be a part of this, to be a part of building a studio, not just finishing Archmage, but building a studio here in rural Ontario on this little island. You live on an island in Hawaii, but anyways, the little island, freshwater island. And they both said yes. And I was like, okay, so I have like a lot of things that I need to figure out in order to make this happen. One of them is an American. And I know that we don't like Americans and such. Well, maybe you do.
Yeah, I'm half Canadian. So.
I'm kidding with you because you're American. Anyway, so the fact that he's an American creates a problem for him to come and work here, right? So I need to deal with immigration and getting a temporary work permit. Things I've never done, things he's never done before. And I was like, well, this is a real uphill battle. It took me 2 days just to find the website with the correct link to where I needed to go and actually like start filling out forms and stuff. It took me 2 days to find the right website. That's how much I didn't know about immigration and temporary work permits and stuff. The other guy was already a Canadian living down in Toronto area, close to where I used to live, and so he would simply be relocating up here. Now the second guy is getting married in September, and his wife his wife was like, yeah, I'm not really sure that I want to do this. At first they were like, yeah, but then it was like, I think she thought about it some more and was like, yeah, I'm not really sure this is how I want to start our life together. So no doesn't mean no forever, and I think actually my gut says that we will work together. I just think maybe now is not the right time. And so I think I've made a good connection with him, and we will talk more in the future. And maybe just right now is not the right time. Maybe a year from now, or 2 years from now, or something. So that's where he is. So, anyways, I'm back to getting this American here, and so I just heard this past week that I think it was Monday or Tuesday of this week, he got approved. We got approved for the immigration, so he can come, and that was a pretty big sign that this is probably meant to be. So his name is Michael, and Michael is going to start not September 1st, for reasons I'll explain in a second, but probably September 8th or 9th is when he's going to start. And so he's going to start full-time on the game. Daniel is going back to school to finish his degree, and so he's going to be going to part-time. And so it's going to be me and Michael full-time, Daniel part-time, working on this thing. And so as I talked with my wife about this and like all these balls in the air and what does this look like, I just said, it really feels like we need to sprint to the finish line. Sprint to the finish line. And she's like, yeah, okay. So even though I don't have any money, we are figuring out ways to sprint to the finish line. So that leads to, where are we going to work? That's a pretty good question. So, especially, I really have an issue when Daniel comes back from school. So he's going to graduate and be back here in May. And now I have 2 people that I need to work with, and maybe even another one. So where are we all going to work?
Small little place in town?
Yeah, it's actually just across the street from where I live.
So good. That's a commercial building. It almost looks like an old colonial house.
Yeah, so it is a commercial building, and it's funny you say it looks like an old colonial house, because it's the old town hall of this little town that I live in, and that is right across the street from me, and it's 120 years old, something like that, and has really bad insulation and a bunch of things, but anyway, it's pretty cheap, it's across the street, and I went and I took a look at it, took measurements, and I figured it out, and I looked at it, and it was like, I can have a kitchen, I can have a meeting room with mount a big TV on the wall, I can, and then have desk space, and I figured out the desk space, I can probably comfortably fit 20 to 24 desks in this space, just on the first floor. There's a second floor, it's not a very good second floor, and I'm not sure I would use it, but there is a second floor if I wanted. And so I could fit 20 desks in this thing. And so that really kind of opened my eyes, like, wow, there's like real potential for building a studio here. The place where I live versus Toronto has very, very low cost of living. So even though I'm paying low wage, it actually kind of goes a long way. And the same thing with rent on a space. Like a space that I can rent, well, I can't rent it, I have to buy it. But anyways, the mortgage payment on this thing is going to be about $750 a month, and I can fit 20 workers in it. Like, that's insane. You don't get that even close to that in many other places. And those are Canadian dollars, which are tiny compared to your American dollars. So so this is the space. And so I have a space, and I have a little bit of a team, and I was like, well, I think, maybe this Defiance Game Studio is going to really be a thing. We're going to really make these multiple titles, and I really hope that Archmage Rises, if nothing else, makes back all the money I've poured into it. I do have great confidence that it will be profitable. So that kind of answers where are we going to work, and then the next thing is, how am I going to pay for all this? Like, I just finished telling you, like, I don't have any money, and now I'm going to, like, buy a building and stuff. So the first thing is, I'm not going to buy the building this year. Real estate in my town moves very, very slowly. It takes 3 to 5 years to sell a building like this, and this building has been for sale already for several years. Yeah, it takes forever to sell anything here. So I'm not buying it this year, as I talked to you on August 10th. I am not buying it this year. I'm going to buy it next spring, if I was going to buy it. there may be something that comes up and I decide not to buy it. But anyway, I've already investigated what it's going to cost in order to get better insulation and heating and air conditioning and some renovation, put in a bathroom. Like, I've already looked into all that. So anyway, it's going to cost me much money in order to get this space. So how am I going to get some money in order to do that? It would be great if it was pre-sales of Archmage Rises. That would really help. But I'm not expecting that. I'm not counting on that right now. I don't think that there's enough of a game to really for that to really snowball and turn into something. And so I have taken a job, which sounds ridiculous. And you already know what that job is. But back in April, when I was meeting Roger, the artist, for the first time in Rotterdam, I got an email from a family member that works at this college near the city near where I live, called Sault Ste. Marie Sioux College. So they said, hey, there's this opening in the game development program. Are you interested? And I looked at it and I was like, well, it's part of the game art side. Like, it's a game art degree. And I was like, yeah, I don't really know if I could do anything with that. But I was like, you know what the heck? I'm just going to apply and see how far I get. Well, the answer is I got all the way, and they offered me the position, and I am going to be teaching in September prototyping, UI design, professional conduct, which is like how to put together a resume portfolio, how to work within a workspace with other professionals, and video game history. So none of those things have anything to do with art, and so I'm going to be an associate professor of game development at this college. It's only 12 hours a week of class time. And so that enables me to still work on the game, still work with Michael and Daniel. I'm hoping I can teach at least one of the classes in the evening. So at most, I'm out of the office 2 days a week. But the money from teaching actually enables me to pay both Daniel and Michael. So it actually is a pretty good trade for me to trade 2 days in order to pay for 5 days of 2 other people. And so this is an example of indie game dev. You got all these weird balls to juggle and whatever, try to figure out. But anyway, this is what I'm doing. So you can now call me Professor in, I guess, a month. And,
so good.
Yeah.
Get that.
So if nobody out there thought I was crazy, now you do know, you have proof that I am completely nuts. But this is the plan. This is what I'm working on. So what do you think, Neil?
Yeah. So you're going to pay for a game by being a professor. That's just perfect. Just perfect.
Yep. So the thing that really convinced me to do it was studying Stardew Valley, and Eric, forget his last name, Barnes or something. Anyways, he was sick of working in his house and went and got a job just ripping tickets at a movie theater, and just to get out of the house, just have a different change of environment and stuff. And so I was like, you know what, I would kind of like going and teaching just to get out of the house and whatever. It would actually reinvigorate me to, when I am working on the game, that those are really good hours that I'm working on the game. So that is the update. That's what's happening, and Neil has to go pick up someone at the airport right now. So I think we can stop here.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm off the airport, but you're off and running, so that's going to be crazy. Building studio, being a professor, all that's going to hit hard in the next few months. Jeez. So good luck with all that. That's crazy.
Okay.
Good up.
Well, thank you, Neil, for being here, and you got to go to the airport, so I'll say goodbye to everybody.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Thomas.